right, I'm just gonna wait to see if people have joined because I'm just gonna ask everyone if you have joined, could you please give us a comment?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to, I think we'll start now. Um, Thank you everyone for joining us today. Women in IT have been constantly endeavoring to bring about new sessions and trainings that would help you in your career journey. And today is one of those days. Um, we're joined today by Keshini, who's going to be taking us through a session on building your personal brand on LinkedIn. Keshini is a senior business analyst at AMP. She's had a 5-year career spanning different industries like IT consulting, financial services, and fintech. She's been delivering solutions using both agile and waterfall methods and has worked across teams, cross functional teams, and led Scrum ceremonies. Um, so I'm going to take this opportunity to thank Keshini for doing this for all of us. And we're just going to start the session. Um, for the first question, Keshni, can you give us a little more understanding of what a personal brand means to you?
Yeah, so personal brand to me, it means just intentionally crafting what your unique value is to others around you, whether it's professionally or whether it's personally. So it's about having that strong brand image, and it's about kind of showing your skills, whether that's your values, your experiences. So it's a culmination of values, skills, and experiences that you showcase to others. And it actually says a lot about who you are as a person. So that can actually be, showcasing your value both in offline environments and also face to face as well interactions. But for the purposes of this session, I'll be specifying examples that are relating to LinkedIn. Um, so to me, it's about what I stand for. So when I do like a LinkedIn profile, it's about, showcasing my values, my experiences, what impact I want to make to others. That's also important too. And how I want to be remembered for the impact that I've created. So it's about leaving that personal legacy as well. So that's what it means to me.
All right. Um, so for the people on watching this stream, could you also help us understand how does one curate a personal brand on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So in my experience, I think it's about really keeping your profile up to date, like regularly revisiting your profile like every week or so, just to keep your personal brand intact. So that includes doing some tweaks to your profile, using a clear headline to actually outline what your value proposition is, having a strong about section to communicate who you are as a person and what skills and experiences you bring to the table, as well as outlining any key achievements, whether it's on a professional or on a personal front, so that recruiters and other connections can actually have more visibility into who you are as a person. Not only that, I think LinkedIn is also a thought leadership platform. So it's about sharing valuable content. So whenever you come across any content in your newsfeed or anything that kind of stimulates you, excites you, and something that you really want to bring across to your network, it's about resharing that content, just communicating any lessons you've learned, and also any causes you care about, as well as any career challenges you've overcome. So you can be an inspiration to others as well. And I think it's also another element of LinkedIn is, since it's a visual platform, it's important to keep a very up-to-date professional headshots that aligns with LinkedIn standards, as well as a great cover photo as well that actually communicates who you are as a person.
Well, that's quite insightful. Thank you for that. The next thing that I would want to know if is you could share a few hacks with all of us on how to build an audience, or any kind of LinkedIn hacks that somebody could use to optimize their LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, so one of my personal favorites is especially in the featured section to highlight any of your top posts that you have reshared in the past, or any media or any links you have to actually demonstrate to your network of what you've contributed. It can be any projects that you have done in the past, or any other personal achievements that you have. So it's actually a highlighted section in your newsfeed that you can add to your featured section. So when they actually click on your profile, that's the first thing that comes up, like that salient view of what you have done. I think another good hack that I've learned is, especially in your LinkedIn headline, to actually write down, I mean, like, just to include your top skills in your profession. So if, for instance, since I work as a business analyst, I would put in agile, I would put in waterfall, the different project methodologies, the different experiences I've had, like, working in different industries like fintech to financial services. I would make sure I include them in the headline with the dashes, so that it's very visible. So in case you're applying for jobs, that's the first thing that comes in ATS, where recruiters can actually see the specific skills related to your profession. I think that has been helpful in the past for me when I was applying for jobs. So I think those are my two great hacks. Another thing that I would recommend is actually getting endorsements or any recommendations from past employers for the work that you have done in previous projects, or just the contributions you have made to the previous organization. That's been helpful. So if you're leaving a role, or if you're planning on leaving and switching careers, it's important to actually keep your networks ongoing, and just to send those personalized messages asking for recommendation. I think that's really great, especially when it comes to job searching. So that's the first thing employers look at. So if you have your LinkedIn URL in your resume, and if they go to your LinkedIn URL and find you, I think that's something they really want to know, that to build that trust element, it's important to have a couple of recommendations and endorsements. So I think those are my favorite hacks that I've learned over the way.
Oh, those are some great hacks. Thanks for sharing those. How does one leverage LinkedIn during their job search? Could you give us a few pointers, or do you have a checklist?
Yeah, so for me, it's like a checklist. I think it's important to know what your next role is going to look like what you want to do in your next role. It's important because it should align with your passions, your values, and your skills. That's very important. I also think it's important, especially when you're looking for your next role, to upgrade to LinkedIn Premium, because it gives you an added advantage in the sense that you're more visible to other connections, especially recruiters who are actually actively recruiting for roles. So your profile comes up immediately. But not only that, I think it's important to send personalized connection requests, especially after you have applied for a job in LinkedIn with like the easy apply feature. It's always good to reach out to hiring managers personally to actually demonstrate your experience, in more depth, or actually, so that actually shows your proactiveness. So it's more of like a cold calling approach. It's about just reaching out intentionally, building those meaningful networks. So even if they don't have a role available, you have had that initial conversation. So it's important to kind of regularly catch up, especially in a soft market like this. I think that's very important. Yeah, and it's always like on you at the end of the day. It's about the proactiveness, not only just job searching and just applying for jobs, but I think you should go that extra mile, and really put yourself out there to recruiters or hiring managers. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
No, I completely agree that it's a great tool to get in touch with hiring managers and recruiters, and it's sort of helped me in my job search as well in the past. I've followed a few of those the points that you mentioned as well, and they've always been useful. Um, Another question that I have, and it's more of a personal question uh, for me, in my experience in using LinkedIn, is there a LinkedIn etiquette that everybody needs to follow? Is there a way? Are there some do's and don'ts to how you approach someone, whether it's a hiring manager, whether it's a recruiter, or whether it's somebody you're trying to network with? Are there do's and don'ts to that?
Yeah, there are do's and don'ts. I think you have to be mindful of how you approach people on LinkedIn. You just don't want to spam them too much with constant messages or something that's not clear to the point. For instance, if you're applying for a job, it's important to actually give you an introduction of yourself first, like, give a brief introduction and then go into the role, not just say that, I've applied for a role, what are the next steps? Like, you just have to be more proactive and actually demonstrate who you are so you can build trust, because trust is built both ways. That's very important. Another thing is, don't just spread negativity on LinkedIn. So, for instance, if something previously has happened in your previous role, you don't want to kind of write posts about the previous company saying that I had a negative experience with my manager, or the company is not that great. Like, you should always keep it very neutral. I think that actually showcases your character and who you are as a person, and that would actually erode trust. So I think it's very important to actually keep it neutral on LinkedIn, and only share things that you're actually passionate about, and actually like that actually showcases what your value and experiences are. I think that's very important.
Yeah, definitely, definitely agree with you on that. Another one of my queries would be, personally being, I mean, using LinkedIn, it's a social platform at the end of the day, and a lot of what you see in terms of the LinkedIn top voices, people who are being highlighted, are people who are constantly engaging with the platform, whether or not it's a job search or otherwise. But for someone like me, I'm not a writer, let's be honest, I'm not great at it, but if I wanted to engage in the platform in other ways, what options do I have available so that I rise in ranks within the social context of it? Also, how does one become a LinkedIn top voice if they do not want to write long-winded articles or verbose articles that probably are going on the platform? Are there other ways that an individual can leverage the power of LinkedIn to highlight their expertise
Yeah.
um, to people in their network?
Yeah, so it's about maintaining networks as well. So, for an example that I've done in the past is, I've actually subscribed to different influencers, especially business analyst influencers, and I actually regularly engage with their content. So it's not only just about writing, but it's also about liking their content, reacting to their content, resharing posts. I think resharing is just a great way. So, for instance, if you have seen a really great article on like the BA job market, I know a lot of recruiters actually focus on the BA job market, for instance. You can just reshare it on your network and just kind of give like a one or two line on what it means to you, or you can just reshare it. You don't really have to like give any comments on that. So that actually builds engagement. So I think that's a starting point, just reacting to posts or resharing anything that interests you, or just even sharing things, personally, like as in like in DMs, like with your networks or any of your past colleagues. I think that's a good step going forward. You necessarily don't have to write big articles, like you just have to take small steps. There's also another thing where I think if you actually engage with the platform frequently, it asks you to contribute to different articles, like thought articles and all that, regarding a question. For example, the question I one that I've done in the past is was talking about agile. So, what are the agile delivery frameworks that are currently in use? And you can just write your thoughts regarding that, and then as you write more and more articles, it kind of actually enhances your visibility, and then you can reach that level where you can actually be a LinkedIn top voice. But I guess it's like a journey, so it's all about taking small steps to reach that end goal.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to incorporate some of those points when I engage with LinkedIn the next time I'm on the platform. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
I'm going to try and look for questions from the audience now. If there is anybody who has any questions for Keshni, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we will ask her your questions.
I think there is
Um,
a question in the chat. Says where have you joined from?
Hi,
Melbourne, Sydney, somewhere else. Yeah.
hi, Keshini. Do you want me to share your screen or something, or yeah?
Yes, please.
Can
Yeah.
can you present that so I can't see it in the background. So and some of the viewers, you if you're not able to put the chat, I just got a feedback. So if you're using on your phone, just below the video, you should be getting that chat option. And if you are on your laptop, it's on the right side. For some reason, on the bottom side, there is live chat button, but it's disabled. I don't know why. But on the right side, you can see there is a chat window. I have even put a message there, hi, so you can put your questions there. But yeah, I'll just add Keshini's content.
Yeah. Let me know once you've added, and I can start.
I think it's good to go. We can take the questions after you're
Sure.
done with the presentation.
Yeah, no worries. So I've just put together a slide deck with just basically what I've talked about, but just a few extra pointers. So so it's about the first slide is just what personal branding is. So it's just a unique culmination of your skills, experiences, and values that you bring to the professional world. So it's just about making an impact, and it's the first thing that pops up when people think of you, and it's all about identifying what your key strengths are and the value you can provide to an organization. So I think that's what the personal branding means on a LinkedIn perspective. And there's like a checklist here. So it's about having high quality professional photo that aligns with your industry, writing a very convincing headline with a brief summary of the skills that you offer, also writing an engaging summary of a professional background, your interests and career aspirations. When you're detailing experiences for each of your previous roles, it's important to actually quantify the impact that you have actually done to demonstrate the value of added. For instance, if you have adopted an agile approach, say there was a 20% increase in value with this, so it's about showing that increase, or if you have actually implemented any cost savings or cost reductions, outlining the percentage difference that you make that actually stimulates interest to employers. Another thing is to ensure you have at least 10 relevant skills on your profile, and linking those skills back to your professional experience is also very important when recruiters or any hiring managers look up your profile. So this is some other further things to do to take your profile to the next level. So it's about sharing and adding your perspectives on any industry news, professional tips, or personal successes. Just actively staying engaged with your connections, reaching out to recruiters. So it's about the proactiveness via email if you have LinkedIn Premium, or even if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, you can still reach out to connections. But I guess there's a limit on the number of emails you can send. Another thing is to encourage past colleagues and hiring managers to actually send personal endorsements and write out recommendations of your skills. Pin your best insights, your media mentions, if you have written any articles or done any recent projects in your featured section. And tweaking your LinkedIn profile regularly is very important. So at least once every 1 to 2 weeks, it's very important to stay ahead of the curve. So these are a couple of things that you can do to take your profile to the next level. Thank you.
All right, we're looking at
Up
some
to
questions from the audience. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Um, there's another a question that just popped into my head while you were presenting. It's just a question around someone who's fairly new to the job market. So how does someone who doesn't have a really elaborate profile or doesn't have work experience, how do they leverage LinkedIn? for
Yeah.
a job search? Let's say somebody's a graduate, and what can they do to make sure LinkedIn is a viable tool for them to use in their job search?
Yeah, so I think it's important to actually kind of build your connections first. So you start with small steps. So if you're new to LinkedIn and you're not really like that comfortable with it, it's about, kind of connecting with people from your similar background, just sending connection requests and asking them that you want to connect personally. And then kind of having like a virtual discussion to actually understand more about how they leverage LinkedIn and just to get tips. So it's always good to start small. There's also a couple of articles that people have written about leveraging LinkedIn that I would recommend. Just doing a search on LinkedIn to seeing what are some basic tips that you can do to actually create a succinct profile. So that's about starting small. But it's a journey, so I guess you start with small steps and then you can gradually enhance your profile. Another good thing is, I think, getting LinkedIn Premium, because LinkedIn Premium actually gives you insights and suggestions on how to optimize your profile. So it actually states that you should create a headline. There's like a 5 different checklists that LinkedIn proposes, and if you meet those 5, then your profile is actually like an all-rounder profile. So I think the first step is getting LinkedIn Premium. I think for new users, they actually do like a trial, so you can actually see if it's really for you or not. And if it's something that you really want to keep over the long term, you can actually subscribe to it.
All right. Thank you so much, Keshni, for those wonderful insights. They've definitely been helpful. Um, Again, just a last call to everyone watching. If you do have any questions, right now would be the right time to drop them in the chat. We're going to wait for another 5 minutes and see if we get more questions. Um, all right. It does not look like um, our audience currently has any more questions. Keshni, would you be happy for us to end this here, or is there something that you would like to let our audience know as before we sign off for this session?
Yeah. So I don't have anything else personal to add apart from what I've just brought up. So I guess LinkedIn is just a tool that you use to actually market yourself to employers, to other connections outside. And it's important to be proactive on LinkedIn. So it's not only about keeping a good profile, but it's also about interacting with your connections. I think that's like a key takeaway here. Just, kind of building connections virtually is very important to actually kind of market yourself out there, especially in a large network of professionals. And to always revisit your profile, to always keep it updated, like especially when you're leaving roles, or especially when you're starting a new role, to highlight your experiences, your achievements, and yeah, just to actively engage in discussions. I think that will actually make you stand out.
All right. Yep. Thank you so much for all of that insight. It was lovely chatting with you today. We're going to leave this. This recording is going to be available on the YouTube channel for perpetuity. So if anybody wants to watch this again, where you just log on to YouTube and you should be able to see it. Thank you so much, Keshni, for taking our time and taking us through this entire session and giving us some wonderful insights on how we can leverage LinkedIn to build better profiles, to engage better, to basically enhance our job search. And thank you so much to the audience as well for logging in and watching this. We're going to be signing off now. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.